So if you're curious how we're learning about expressions and equations and all this algebra looking stuff, check out this video. I'm going to show the great strategy Desmos is teaching students because it's really helpful and can even be used in more advanced algebra. It starts us off with a bunch of vocabulary. So let's take a look at that first, that size. All right, so if I have an expression here, and I'm going to make an easier one. Let's start with 8x plus 2. Now, if we take just something simpler, like 8 plus 2, if we're adding something or subtracting something like 8 minus 2, the 8 and the 2 are called terms. The 8 and the 2 are called terms. Now, if we're multiplying like 8 times x, because we don't know what x is, the whole thing is a term. All right, so terms work for addition and subtraction. So in this one, 8x is a term. Number 2 is a term. But the other vocabulary word is distinguishing between a multiplication. So in the term 8x, 8 is called the coefficient. So the number's the coefficient. And the letter is called the variable. A little different than how we're using variables in science, because in science, variables are independent or dependent. All right, so that's just vocabulary. And, you know, I tell students, vocabulary you just have to memorize, because if you miss getting math correctly or solving a problem or doing well on a test because of vocabulary, that doesn't mean you don't know the math. That just means you forgot the vocabulary. So this is the lesson we were doing before our test practice, or quiz, I should say, for our quiz before spring break. And I just want to go to the last one we left off before we finished together and just show how we're using area models like this to figure this out, which makes it visual, so it's accessible to everyone, and it makes sense once you do it. And I know in class, once I told students, do it, more of them got it right. Before, when they weren't doing it, they were just watching me and then not doing it. Half the class was getting it wrong. So it works. Let's start with this first one here, which in this curriculum, when you have a term plus a term, or a term minus a term, they're calling that a sum. Well, actually, the plus is the sum, because you're adding them together, and the answer is called the sum. When you're multiplying something, a variable or a number, times an expression in parentheses, since it's being multiplied, they just call that a product. More vocabulary. So I'm going to start with the sum 4x plus 8, because we got to figure out the product. Well, here's what we know. So let's look at that one. All right, so if I know the sum, here's what that means. That means I know the area of the rectangle. So I know that part of this is 4x and the other part is 8. And if I add them together, I get my sum, 4x plus 8. So what I need to figure out is what is the length and the width. Those are the question marks I put there. Let's erase those. And that one. Okay, so this is where you get a bit creative, because to get 4x, I can multiply 4 times x. And 4 is a great number to use there, because I can multiply 4 times 2 to get 8. Well, look what that makes. That makes 4 times x plus 2 to give me an equivalent expression. So those two expressions are equivalent. And many of us learned it, oh, look, you can multiply 4 times x and 4 times 2, and you get 4x plus 8. So that is one equivalent expression. And here's what's cool. So you can take this very same area model and it's the, let's see, 4x plus 8. I'll put the line here, and that's how we know it's plus. But you know what? To get 4x, I did 4 times x. Can't I also do 2 times 2x? Yes, I can. And 2 is a perfect number to have here, because 2 times 4 equals 8. So look what that gives me. That gives me 2 times that 2x plus 4, and that is also equivalent to 4x plus 8. So this is what we call equivalent expressions. So then on this one here, they can put either expression as their answer. Nope, that's 4. And close the parentheses. I'm teaching kids, make sure you close the parentheses. But now let's take the next one here, which is a product, 3 times 2b plus 5. Now, I'm having kids actually draw out the area model so they can practice visualizing. If you can visualize it, you have better understanding. And then if you ever do an algorithm, it'll actually make sense. It won't just be memorizing stuff and pulling it back from memory, which, let's be real, that makes a lot of people hate math and not understand it, and they forget steps, and then they don't know why it's wrong. I've got 3 2b plus 5, so I draw my rectangle, and the 3, I'm always going to put there, okay? Whatever goes there, whether it's a number term or a variable like x. I'm going to put it right here, okay? Then what's in the parentheses, that becomes your length, the length times the width. And I'm just going to put a line to say there are 2 parts, right? Now look what we do. Let's just do length times width. 2b times 3 is 6b, and that's going to be added to 5 times 3, 15. And look, there is your answer, 6b plus 15. Ha! That's it. Isn't that great? Oh my goodness. I mean, this is not only figure-outable, it's visual, and it helps students understand conceptually the math. So this isn't anything that is inaccessible. This is accessible to everyone. And this is a strategy, this area model, that you can use for multiplication, division, higher algebra. You can do so much with this. That's why I want kids comfortable with it. Well, let's do the next one. The next one there is 6 times u plus 2t. All right? So the way you start is you just draw your rectangle, and actually, I'm going to just try to make this one a little more to scale, because 6 is going to be bigger than 3. So maybe I'll make it more look like this. And remember, the number I put here, whether the number is here or here, it's the same thing, because multiplication and addition are commutative. The commutative property, here's more vocabulary, means I can do this times this, or, oops, this times this. Doesn't matter which order, the product will be the same. But I'm going to put this one over here anyway. All right, and then the u plus 2t will go there. All right, now get the length times the width. U times 6 is 6u, and 2t times 6 is 12t. Oh, look, there's my expression right there. So that equals 6u plus 12t. So I'm going to write it right there. 6u plus 12t. And that's what we're going to have the quiz on Friday. So if kids get comfortable with this, they'll be really prepared for the quiz. If this is the hard part where they start with what's in the middle and they got to figure out the length and the width, you know, they know the area, and they're trying to figure out the length and the width. If that's more challenging, that's okay, because that's like division. Division tends to be a little more challenging than multiplication. But they can figure it out, and they can practice and get better. Another reason I tell kids, you know, do this is because if they show their work, mistakes are important, because when you make a mistake, we can figure out where did you make the mistake to learn the correct way. Without mistakes, we don't know how to fix it. So yeah, that's how we do it in expressions and equations for this Unit 6 in Desmos. If you have any questions, message me. I'm happy to help.